theaters. I screamed at the jerkolas who had the rights to this movie. I tried to get it for the first annual World Drive-In Movie Festival and Custom Car Rally back in 1982. I called up all the meatpacking plants in Fort Worth thinking they might want to sponsor a screening during Red Meat Week on the Movie Channel. And I fought with the Movie Channel high sheriffs for 4 solid years, and all they ever told me was it's too grisly for cable. Nobody has any respect for the arts in this country anymore. So you're thinking, well, hey, what's the big deal? Just another zombie splatter movie, right? Well, no, there's one difference. There's only one way to kill the zombies. We're talking total dismemberment. Hands, arms, legs, and of course, heads will roll. You thought those were zombies in Night of the Living Dead? Excuse me while I go buy you a copy of Richard Simmons Sings the Frank Stallone Songbook, Wimp City. You think those were zombies in Dawn of the Dead? Wait here just a minute while I go check the showtimes of Flashdance for you. You might want to look around for some leg warmers to wear on your ankles and a t-shirt with Snoopy on the front. Now that Grandma has left the room, let's take a look at the old Evil Dead barf meter. This is the Paint the Room Red Vomit Champion of the 1980s, and as you can see, it's off the scale. You might want to go get a few hefty bags while there's still time. In other words, it's a classic. It follows the Joe Bob Briggs ultimate test of a splatter flick. Anybody can die at any moment. It was the first movie of Sam Raimi, the guy who made Darkman, but this was back when nobody had ever heard of Sam Raimi. We just thought he was a psychopath from Michigan. He checked out some film equipment from Michigan State, got some actors from the university, found an abandoned house in Tennessee, and he did all the amazing special effects in the attic of his house by himself. What a guy. I don't want to tell you anything about the plot, but here at Drive-In Theater, we call it Spam in a Cabin. The teenagers go in, the teenagers do not come out. But it's the way they die that matters. Once you've seen this, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre could be shown on the Disney Channel. Roll the flick, one breast, 19 gallons of blood, one breast. You know, this could be like that PBS series on the Civil War. Millions of Americans glued to their sets, marveling at their American heritage. Zombie cannibal hillbillies. We invented those in this country. We should be proud of this. Roll it. Now, go. Raped and killed by the woods. You know, in Friday the 13th, women are killed in the woods, but not by the woods. And then there's that #2 pencil scene. That always gets to me. And then there's that great scene where Ash has to decide whether to chainsaw his own girlfriend or lock her in the basement and hope she'll get better. You know, when they showed that movie in theaters, people were always screaming at the screen, "Don't do it, Ash! No, Ash, no!" And that actor, of course, is Bruce Campbell, who was a guest here on Drive-In Theater a couple of years ago. He also starred in Evil Dead 2 and will be in Evil Dead 3 coming up next year. He was also in Maniac Cop. You might have seen him, one of my favorite guys, and he's about to direct a movie that he wrote also called The Man with the Screaming Brain. All right, if you enjoyed Evil Dead, let me know about it. Maybe we can get Evil Dead 2 on the show. Next week, though, we're going straight back into the toilet with the Great Skycopter, I can't even say this movie, The Great Skycopter Rescue. It's this weird 1980 movie about these people that fight an evil biker gang with ultralight airplanes and these little whirly-bird toy helicopters. Very strange movie. Forget it. And now we've got a little time for Joe Bob's Advice to the Hopeless, the drive-in mailbag. And our first letter comes from Elizabeth Lowe of Hurst, Texas. And she wrote in about some comments I made about that fine movie, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Dear Joe Bob, Henry, Otis, Becky, eye gouging, could we be talking about the pride of Tecumseh, Michigan, that celebrated one-eyed drifter Henry Lee Lucas? Since Henry can't seem to remember, let's jog his memory. He pierced his mommy's neck with an ice pick in 1960 when she accused him of having some sort of sex with his stepsister. How do I know all this? This genteel family lived 6 blocks from us when I was a child. Okay, Elizabeth, you win the golden weenie. Yes, you're right. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer is based on the life of Henry Lee Lucas. Except in the meantime, Henry Lee Lucas has been exposed as a fake who confessed to hundreds of murders just to get publicity, while the movie is being praised for being realistic. Do you follow this? I find this very, very funny. And then here's a letter from Marty Lux of Tsuruga, I can't say it really, it's someplace in Japan, Tsurugashima, Japan, He teaches English over there, and he says, "Hi, Joe Bob, greetings from the Far East. My students love the reviews you give of Chuck Norris films, and they want you to know that Japan isn't just Godzilla anymore. While last night that drive-in classic Dawn of the Dead was on primetime TV, it was uncut, but listening to it in Japanese, you hear new, new, instead of brains, brains." Joe Bob, it seems all the movies are dubbed over into Japanese, which makes me believe the USA still leads in drive-in movie technology. Well, you know, there's been a lot said about how the Japanese are taking over the American entertainment industry, but I'll tell you something more frightening. They were selling this year at the State Fair of Texas those little Japahino bonsai trees. You know those things? First, the little rice rocket cars destroyed the drive-in culture. Now, every German Shepherd in Texas is terrified about what's next. If you've got something to ask me about, want to request some movies, want to get free junk in the mail, or a copy of my world-famous We Are the Weird newsletter, write the Movie Channel mailbox, P.O. Box 1264, Radio City Station, New York, New York 10101, and I'll get back to you. Or you can call my comedy line and leave your name and address, 1-900-4-JOE-BOB. That'll cost you $1.50 the first minute, 75 cents each additional minute, 1-900-4-JOE-BOB. And that's it. I'm exhilarated from the world cable premiere of the uncut Evil Dead. What's left to say about it? I mean, it's kind of the way you feel the day after the Super Bowl. I mean, why go on living? So, I know, though, I know. Did y'all hear about the anorexic nymphomaniac? Y'all have to pay attention. See, the reason y'all never get these jokes is that they're beyond your limited intellectual capacity. So, did you hear about the nymphomaniac with anorexia? She swallowed an olive and 5 guys panicked and left town. Joe Bob